Hi guys, it is Tanya Williams here, Chief of Everything from Digital Conversations. And as part of our Having Digital Conversations series, I am very excited to be talking to John Knight from Business Depot today. Now, we're mixing it up a little bit today. Usually we do video on our interviews, but today we're trialing Blab, which is a new platform, which I'm very excited about. And I think this is your first time blabbing as well, isn't it, John?
Very much so, Tanya.
Yeah, so we've had a few technical difficulties this morning, but we are off and running. So firstly, John, what I would love you to do is share who Business Depot is and what is your point of difference in the market.
Yeah, so at Business Depot, as the name suggests, we simply want to be the place to go when you don't know where to go in business. So within our business, our foundational layer is an accounting and business advisory firm. But in addition to that, we've got what's probably best described as a marketplace of all the other advisors, consultants, service providers that you need to make your business idea a reality.
Which is something that's very unique because you don't see that sort of concept very often, particularly from a traditional business like an accounting firm.
I suppose we're trying to turn the model around, turn it upside down is probably a better way to describe it. So instead of being an accounting firm trying to have these other solutions, these other advisory solutions, we wanted to turn around. We wanted to be about the customer first. What is the problem that the customer is experiencing and how do we solve it? It just so happens that one of the ways we solve that is through the accounting firm that we also own and operate.
Okay. One of the things that I love about you guys is your brand is so different from most accountants out in the marketplace. I mean, it's fresh. All your collateral is similar. You've got great marketing messages. When you guys started Business Depot, and I know you've come from a traditional accounting firm, did you always have a vision to be, I suppose, a bit of an industry disruptor? Because really that's what you guys are actually doing.
Yeah, I mean, disruption is probably not a word that we tend to use ourselves internally, but I suppose what our focus has been on is to do it better. And I suppose if you compare that, to some of the other services or industries that people are saying are being disrupted, then maybe there is some similarity. But all we're trying to do is deliver the service better.
Yeah, which is I think obviously I think starting from a customer point of view is the key to everything. I think that's the best place to start from. So in terms of, I suppose, the digital component, how important is digital in the marketing mix for you guys? Now, you are in a fairly traditional industry and traditionally your industry hasn't been a massive user of digital. So how important has that been for you guys?
Look, historically, it was incredibly important. It's still incredibly important. It is as important, if not more important, than the traditional marketing.
Okay.
When we set up, which is just under 2 years ago, we came out into the marketplace with a name that didn't sound like an accounting firm because it is a lot more than that. And we had to describe to people, we had to explain to people what we were and what we were trying to do. And the digital marketing strategies that we applied were absolutely critical to getting traction in a quick amount of time. And so that's where digital was great for us, especially in the early days, to get that brand awareness and to get that content out there really quickly. These days, digital is, I suppose, one component of our multi-channel marketing strategy.
Yep.
Whether it be to allow us to repurpose other content, and obviously content is a big thing for us, or whether it be just to be able to get out there quickly with timely comments, with important information.
Yeah. So you're saying, do you think it's actually more important than what you're doing from a traditional marketing point of view, or as important? Like, where do you fit it in that whole sort of marketing puzzle?
I think it's as important. So when we think about our multi-channel marketing strategy, we do a lot with events, and events are a very big part of that. Content is a huge part of that. And that's one of the ways we empower the bright ideas of businesses. That's by giving them insights and expertise in areas that they wouldn't otherwise normally get access to. So digital is incredibly important as part of that. And so events, content, social, and referrals, all together, they work really well.
Yeah, I totally agree. So that's a really good mix. So in terms of that digital marketing piece, were there particular digital tools or that you guys were actually using to implement some of these tactics?
Yeah, look, I mean, social media has played a massive part of it. LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter, we're pretty active on. LinkedIn obviously is a bit more business focused, but we're now spending more time actually getting that content out in Facebook now as well. Twitter we use to just keep activity and keep content out there being repurposed, and also for events. We do use Instagram, but more from a back office sort of insights into the back of the.
So an internal business, it's more of a business tool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So I don't know. Collaboration and connection are two words that I strongly, I suppose, relate to your brand, because you guys obviously use those words often, but I see that as part of your brand and what you're standing for. Yeah. Why do you believe they're important for business growth from a marketing and I suppose even a business cultural point of view as well?
Yeah. Look, we have what we call our what to expect statements. And one of those is you don't know what you don't know. And so we don't pretend we have the solution for everything internally within the accounting firm. And even within the accounting firm, breaking down that silo mentality, it's all about finding that right person who does know what they're talking about, finding that expertise. And so given that, that's why the marketplace, what we call the collective, why that extra layer is so important, so that we can collaborate with all these other people like yourself, Tanya, to get down to the nitty gritty and get to the expert that we need. Yeah. Connection, I think, was the other part of that question there, because there's no point getting this community, getting this marketplace, if you don't then connect them together, if you don't get them to know each other. Yeah. Referrals, I mentioned before, is a massive part of our multi-channel marketing strategy. So it's important when we get this marketplace together that we actually connect them and get those referrals flowing. So we have a co-working space within the office. We make our space available to the collective, and we do events all with the intention of connecting people together.
Yeah, and I love that. I mean, I'm being part of the collective, and I've experienced what you guys have to offer, and I think it's a very unique approach for business, and it's certainly one from a collective member point of view where you really feel part of your vision and what you guys are doing, and I think that's really awesome. And you mentioned events before. Now, I know you guys every month do a series of events called Depot X, which is based on the TEDx model of, three sort of speakers, 15 minutes each. And I've been part of that event, which has been awesome. How do you use social media as part of that in terms of, pre, during and post event? Like what sort of part does that play from an event point of view?
So we use social media to obviously make everybody aware of the event, to share some insights as to what's going to be covered at the events. And then during the events, Twitter becomes more appropriate during the events, where there's a lot of people doing shout outs, posts, photos, etc. During the events, people. Yes, you are one of those consistently reliable people, which is great, Tanya. And then post event, we share the content. We share links to the content that has been created at that event. The presentation slides, and over time we get the videos together, get those on our website, and use social media to distribute those out there as well.
And I think that's the other thing to mention as well, the way you guys collate your content and have it accessible to people on your website. I mean, that must draw, has that been a conscious decision? I imagine that must draw some really good traffic numbers to your website as well.
Yeah, look, undoubtedly. I mean, we've got all this content, and so we might as well use it. And so we always have, the slides up, that if anyone's used slides from the event, copies of the videos. And one of our big things internally here is it's all about authenticity, and it's all about transparency. So we don't sort of worry about making them look too pretty. We sort of just get them out there in a raw sense for people to access, so that they can draw upon that expertise that's been shared.
I think that makes that relatable as well. I think the thing with video, and I love video as a platform, as you know, people think that has to be absolutely perfect to put out there, and I think the fact that it's not, it's very relatable. And that these days it's all about consuming great content. So the content is the most important element of that anyway. And I love the content that you guys are putting out there. It's very relevant
with the event. It doesn't have to be pristine. I mean, it's a lot of work, it's a lot of expense to get a very pristine video from an event. But when we do some of our other content, like a series we've been doing recently, we do spend a bit more time editing that and making that look better.
Yeah, love it. Now, as a brand, how much time do you guys spend on social media engagement? Now, I know you have a marketing manager, Tyson, who would probably be doing the majority of that for you. So how do you know how much time to allocate to spend on that social media engagement?
I probably should have asked Tyson the question before I catch up as to how long he spends on it. But what we want is we want to be consistently providing insights and expertise to the community. So we have daily posts which go out, which might simply be retweeting or sharing somebody else's content. So Tyson uses Hootsuite, which works really well to automate the social media scheduling. And that is just incredible, I think, as to how you can just set it all up and have it going. And a lot of that just repurposing other content.
Yeah. Okay. So what would you say has been your biggest digital challenge as a small business owner? Because we're going to have small business owners and watching this. It's very hard to do everything, and we wear so many hats, as you know and experience. So what do you think has been the biggest challenge for you guys?
The biggest challenge for us is probably keeping it relevant and keeping it as targeted as we possibly can. So, we've got so many layers to our business. Business Depot as a whole is all about small to medium enterprises of all shapes and sizes. So we need to have our share of general content for the broader target market. But then within our business, we've got niches within particular industries where we have particular expertise. And so they want to just know what's relevant for their industries. So keeping it targeted on that at the same time as having a general target is probably the biggest challenge in my mind. In the early days, it was, getting people to follow you and those types of things. I used to watch diligently how many likes and how many shares and so forth. I actually don't look at that so much anymore. Tyson probably does, but I don't really look at that because what I find is, I might do a post and, hardly anyone's liked it or something, and I get a bit down about it. But then I hear later on, just talking to someone at the coffee shop or a referral that I'm catching up with, and they'll go, "Oh, I saw your post on such and such. It was great," And so I don't think you need to worry so much about the analytics from the point of view of don't get hung up on them. If you're out there to create brand awareness, then I think just getting the content out there is a big part of that anyway.
I agree. And I sometimes think people put too much emphasis on the amount of likes that they get on a post or on their page. I think being aware of it is obviously really important and how to drive that. But obviously the engagement part is the most important. And I'm the same. I get comments about a LinkedIn article, for example, and people say, "Oh, that was a great article." I'm like, "Oh, okay, someone's reading it." So I think that's the better feedback that you get by using these sorts of tools, as well as that real market, real life sort of experience. To say when people start commenting about stuff, then it's actually getting some cut through. I think that's really important.
As you know, Tanya, everyone deals with social media at different levels, and you've got those people who will never like, will never share, but they might read, or at least see that you're active.
The listeners, the social listeners, as we call them. So what's probably been the cheapest and most effective digital campaign that you guys have run to date then?
Well, I always refer back to, I think it was my first post I did as one of the proper posts on LinkedIn. And it was a little article that I just had an idea for, one Saturday morning, sat down and I wrote it. And I thought, I'll give this a go. And I just posted it. And that was one where we did have really strong analytics. And I don't know whether it was just the stars aligned, whether their algorithms favor that, first posts or something or other to get you hooked. But that was just getting the time to just sit down and just get my thoughts down and then just share them. We didn't sort of make it too polished or anything, but it did have a nice title and it got interesting. The other thing we've done, which is probably more on a campaign style, is recently we've had a theme, or this year we've had a theme of helping people make it happen within their business. And so in this financial year, we launched a project which we call Project It. And it's basically a campaign of 8 steps to actually make it happen within your business. And other than time and content to share our thoughts, it's a very inexpensive way to get some insights out there.
And I think what you guys are doing really well with that is sharing that across multiple channels, and certainly at events, it's mentioned. Everything that you do, you're tying that in. And I think that's one thing that a lot of business owners forget to do. They think they have this one piece of content that sits out there by itself, but you guys are actually integrating it into different ways within the business, which I think is really refreshing to see. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's
an important part of it. You got to get it into as many different channels as you can. I mean, I'm fairly pedantic about brand alignment as well, Tanya. So, that's
Yeah.
always important to me as well. That if we're going to do it, it has to be consistent with our overall brand.
And I think that term leverage, that, or
Yeah.
what I call the L word, is so important, and you guys are doing that, which is awesome. So, in saying that, then, what advice would you give to other business owners, particularly in the professional services industry, about using digital? I mean, I think a lot of them are very scared to start, or they don't know what to do. What would your advice be, having been through this
Yeah, I
process?
mean, I know a lot of people sort of stand off and don't know how to get involved and that type of thing. It's actually not that scary. Can't do that much harm as long as you don't say something stupid. So obviously having your policy within your professional services form is absolutely critical as to who could say what
Yeah.
and when and so forth. But
Do you guys have a social media
yeah, we
policy,
do.
John?
Yeah, we do. It's a pretty
Okay, good.
simple
Yeah.
one, but we try and have everybody within the firm as an advocate of Business Depot. And so, not everybody does post, but everybody is able to post, and even just getting them to actively share and like and those types of things can really help. And the biggest tip is just do it. To be honest,
Yes.
it's not as hard or as scary as people think. You got to have some common sense around that. But
Yeah.
everyone already has the content. They've just got to get it out there. And I know one of our collective members, Josh Cobb, always has the great tip
Yeah.
that just document every question you get asked in the business, share that with the world, and you're building up this book, this content,
Yeah.
this media channel of everything
Yeah.
anyone's going to need to know.
Yeah, and that's a great tip. That and I listen to Josh's podcasts fairly regularly as well. I mean, I think the thing is start with the basics, which so many people want to overcomplicate things and start with this massive strategy and they don't know where to start because they're overwhelmed. So I think just getting the real basics right and starting from there. And as you said, the only way you can learn it is just get in and have a go, and just start to use it and refine it from there. I think that's the overwhelming part for many people, is they're too scared to get in and just do that.
Sort of got into it, I suppose. I just started looking, just started watching, seeing what people were doing, what was acceptable, what wasn't acceptable, before I even started to like or share or any of those types of things, and just took it one step at a time.
That's a great tip, I think. So in terms of new digital technologies, what do you think are going to have the biggest impact for you guys in the coming year? I mean, there's lots of new tools, like, we're playing around with Blab today. There's emojis, there's, Internet of Things, wearables, and there's all sorts of stuff happening in that digital space. What do you think is going to be most relevant for you guys, or have the biggest impact on your business?
Look, for us, we've got a lot more work to do on our CRM sort of side of things still. And I suppose it's just refining so that we can remain very targeted, because I don't want just one big database. I want a database of lots of little chunks, so that we can...
Oh my God, you know how refreshing it is to hear someone say that? Oh my God, segmentation.
I prefer to know that I've only got 5 people in a certain industry and just be really targeted on that industry if that's what we want. Rather than just having this big sort of pool. And so for us, that's probably one of our biggest challenges, because we have so many layers within our overall business, and so many different groups that we communicate with.
Yeah, I think that's so important. I think that's the one basic thing that so many businesses forget, and I have this conversation over and over, is that segmentation of the database. I'll have 1,000 people in their database and just send the one email blast out, or the same communication out to everybody, and it's not relevant to half of them. I think that's such a basic thing that people can do. I think that's an awesome tip to share. So, I mean, we've covered a whole heap of different things today, which has been great to get insights in what you guys are doing at Business Depot. Let's finish with, I suppose, what's next for you guys. Like, what are the next steps? What's going to be happening? You mentioned CRM, but is there some new initiatives that are going to be in place? Tell me what's going to be sort of the next thing on the radar for the next sort of 6 to 12 months.
From a marketing perspective, Tanya?
Yeah.
So, I mean, next for us is our Depot X events have been quite successful. And so next year we're taking 3 of those off-site, and we're rebadging them as a special event with Brisbane Powerhouse called Depot Next. And they're going to be a similar sort of format, 3 speakers, 15 minutes each, short, sharp value bombs on something that they are an expert in. So Depot Next will be a big part of our strategy for next year. We're going to have 3 of them. So before, after, and during each event, social media is going to have a big part to play. They're still going to be a free event, so we need to get the word out about them as much as possible, and we want to get hundreds of people along to that, because we want to share these insights to enable business owners to reach their potential. So that's going to be a big thing.
Have you guys got the date out for that yet,
I know,
John?
it's the first week of February. I think it might be the 6th or 7th or something like that. It's on our website, I believe. And so promotions start with Brisbane Powerhouse, I think, later this month. So that's going to be big for us.
Cool. Well,
also, we want to take our model to the next level. So we've got to start to get a CRM, I suppose, Tanya, broken down into one segment, which is all those people we want to work with from a referral perspective. So we want to add to the marketplace, add to the collective. And we're even looking at getting other little accounting firms to plug into our model as well, as a way to grow the volume that's feeding the overall funnel.
Wow, that's really impressive. And how long have you guys been in business for, John? I should have probably asked this question right at the start.
It's 2 years on the 2nd of December.
Yeah, so you've done a lot in a very short period of time. Like that.
But that's the world we live in, Tanya, now, isn't it? You can't dawdle.
I know.
You've got to move so quickly.
Yeah, it does. It moves so quickly, and it's hard to keep up sometimes, as you know. Thank you very much for having that digital conversation with us today, John. You've shared some awesome value bombs. I'm going to steal your word there, because I know you guys always use that.
Anyway, so.
I'm going to steal it off everyone. So thank you very much for your time this morning. It's been awesome chatting to you. I'm going to obviously share this link out, and I'll get this over to you once we've got the link ready to share. And please stay in touch, and we'll be sure to be sharing your content out on our channels as well.
Thanks, Tanya. Nice blabbing with you.
Great. Thanks, John. Good blab. See you.